I'm a hair mineral analysis expert. I have a background in functional medicine, and I educate people using HTMA testing to maximize health, erase debilitating symptoms, and gain energy. I'm a multi-time kettlebell sport world champion, and I'm constantly searching for high-performance pros from all over the world to bring you this human optimization podcast. My name is Lisa Pitel-Killah. Welcome, everyone, to a brand new episode of the Human Optimization Podcast. And I'm so excited to have here with me today, Carolyn. And she is one of my clients. And I wanted to bring you more or less a little bit of more info today about hair tissue mineral analysis. Because, of course, if you follow me, I talk about that all the time with regards to minerals, longevity, and the key to good health. So, Caroline, I want you to take a few minutes, introduce yourself to our viewers and listeners.
Yeah. So I'm Carolyn Pitel-Killah, and I own a business called matterofgrowth.com, and we specialize in helping entrepreneurs start businesses from scratch.
Amazing.
So that's one thing that I do. And then I'm also an enterprise sales representative at a company called IverSoft. We do custom software. And so those are kind of my two, what I spend my days doing. But I'm also keenly interested in nutrition. And that's kind of one of the reasons that I found you and I found HTMA. It's been a journey for the last 2 years. I have been working with a number of naturopaths until I found you. And so, that's pretty much the synopsis up until this point.
Yes. And so the first time we got introduced to one another was actually when I was doing a lecture at the Institute for Holistic Nutrition in Ottawa. Yes, it was
Exactly.
an HTMA lecture, actually. And I remember you had some questions about that. So tell me what made you, I guess, make the decision to think that, maybe this is the right test for me, or maybe this will kind of lead me down the path with some answers.
Right. So I've been working with a couple naturopaths before, as I said, and in the meantime, I was also looking at putting in my application for the Institute of Holistic Nutrition. So I got put on their email list, and then I got an email that said, hair HTMA, and I was like, wow, this is really intriguing. It was the workshop that you delivered there, and so I ended up going. I was like, what do I have to lose at this point? And I remember it's very serendipitous, because I'm just so confident that this is the direction I need to be going in with my health. And so on the way there, it started at 6. I thought it started at 6:30. It was one of those moments where I was like, oh, should I just turn back? This is just and my boyfriend was like, no, you should really go. This might be the thing. And so I got into the lecture, and I think it was just how you explained everything was very straightforward. And some of the symptoms that you had sort of identified when you started talking about copper toxicity and zinc and minerals, and there was a lot of symptoms that you had identified within that sort of container that I was like, oh, these are symptoms that I'm experiencing. Maybe this is something that I could do. And by the end of the lecture, it just it all clicked for me. It really felt like it was the universe bringing it to me. And I thought, what do I have to lose? I had already invested a lot of time, money, and energy into my journey this far. And so I thought, let's just give it a try.
Yeah, excellent. And so the funny thing was, when I found it myself as a practitioner, I was kind of in the same boat as you, because I'd done so many different diagnostic tests and I fixed so many problems that I had, but I still just had an underlying issue with chronic fatigue and just an overall general feeling of unwell. And that was really frustrating, right? It's what do I have to lose? It's just another, maybe this is the one that I need. And then it finally identified copper toxicity, which, many people suffer from now with regards to the symptoms, which can be quite debilitating. And so you decided to do the testing, and how did you find when you sat down and actually got the results put in front of you and had them explained, what was your gut feeling at that point? What were you feeling after that consultation actually took place?
I was feeling like it was very much on point. When we went through all of the different ratios and mineral levels and the metals, it all sort of like came together. I was like, okay, this makes sense. Like why I'm so tired all the time. Like it's not, you know what I mean? And it's, I'm sure you can relate to, like in the world of like functional medicine, it's like, you've got a lot of people, we have people in our lives, or I have people in my life who, are very much like Western, like traditional medicine focused. And so they're like, you're just tired because you're just like, you just do a lot. Like, and it's just, yeah, I do a lot, but I just knew deep down that I was just like, there's something going on with me. Like I was so incredibly drained. And at the time I was doing high intensity workouts, which was, now looking back, was making it even worse.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to answer your question, it was just like when you were telling me, okay, yeah, you have these adrenal issues and things like that. I'm like, okay, this is finally, it was like the aha moment. It's like, okay, this is why I'm experiencing this. It was very much, it provided that context that I needed.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right, because a lot of people, when they're dealing with anything really in their health, first off, a lot of people don't listen to their bodies, especially athletes, right? Whether you're an athlete, weekend warrior, you love the gym, we're like, it's just, you know what? I had a tough week. I'm just going to do it anyway. I'll feel so much better.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I feel worse. What's happening? Right. And so that's sometimes something that we overlook when we have that mindset, especially the type A personalities. You run your own business, you're that type A personality, get it done. And sometimes we don't listen. And then all of a sudden we have to, because there's too many things happening. And then we're like, okay, something really is wrong. I need to sit back and listen. And so that's a mistake a lot of people make with regards to training. And so we definitely had a discussion about that, how to keep training, but maybe modify it a bit to be able to support the adrenal system and nourish it a little bit at the same time, so that you can get more out of your day and have a little bit more energy. And so once you kind of, wrapped your head around all that, putting protocols in place and changing things, how did all that go for you? How did you make it kind of a lifestyle change for that time? Because you've been doing this now for, I want to say it's been about 5 months, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Started at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yes.
It was actually like that first week was when I started the protocol.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like I'm not, protocols are not new to me.
Mm-hmm.
And, I tend to be really disciplined with them. And so, but obviously it does become a little bit difficult when it's like, you do have to really put a lot of time and energy and money, frankly, into it.
Yeah.
But the amazing thing about this, which I had never experienced before, was that like, it was actually, it's data driven. And like, I come from a tech and digital marketing background. So to me, I could resonate with that. It's like, I was talking about this with my boyfriend as well. We spend a lot of time together. We work like 24/7. But just like how important it is to so many people just take supplements, and it's like, and then, a couple months down the road, there's empty, or supplements, like full supplements that they haven't taken, that they just weren't consistent with. And I find that with HTMA, because you actually have, like, you develop your baseline and then you retest, it's like, wow, it's like a reward being like, okay, like not only do you feel better, but then you also are getting that data and that analytics piece to say, okay, yes, you are making progress with this. So that's what was so motivating to me. And even now, like, I'm on a pretty strict protocol, but it just kind of becomes, when you have your sight set, like, I know I want to feel better. I know I want to get rid of my cystic acne, and I know it's possible, then it becomes a lot more motivating. And I kind of think of it like the analogy, it's like, how do you know if you're trying to lose weight or get fit? How do you know if you're not stepping on a scanner or stepping on a scale or doing your measurements, then how do you know if what you're doing is effective or not? You don't.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's just quantifying that actual progress. And I think that's so important. And I think that's where sometimes people get a little bit, I don't want to say, I think maybe they lose focus and then they don't do a retest. And retests are so important because really we saw so much movement in your mineral patterns in that 3-4 month period when we retested. And to know that, and again, you're basing supplementation on those actual facts, right? That the scientific data, so that we can make changes and make sure that your body's always being supported to the fullest. And I think one of the things that you have really come a long way on, even though your diet was really good before, you've really changed your nutrition a lot based on the actual testing as well, I feel like.
Yeah.
And I always say you can't out supplement a poor diet, right?
Yep.
Making sure your diet is clean is really the key to that base support, and then everything else is above that. So anything else you just kind of want to share with regards to HTMA, or even just how you're feeling, what you've experienced, changes that have been happening that you're either, you know, happy with or struggling with, or anything?
Right now, I feel great about where things are headed, as we spoke about before. Like, it's definitely, it can be taxing on the body because I'm in such a full detox mode. But I find it's one of those things that, like, when you develop discipline in one area of your life, it translates to another.
Yeah.
And so I've been incredibly disciplined since March, since I started the first protocol. Now I'm onto the second. And I find that that's translating into, you know, just consistent focus and effort on my business that I'm working on. So that, I think, is really important, and that shouldn't be taken, you know, lightly, because I think, you know, as much time and energy and focus goes into following a protocol and following your nutrition, you know, requirements, like, to a T, it will translate into other areas of your life.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the realizations that I've made, and which is why I think, like, I've had so much success with actually staying disciplined with it.
That's amazing. That's actually really, really powerful. And to think that, and it's true, right? When you put those healthy habits in place, it's amazing the other things that follow just because of you practicing that and being very consistent. It does trickle out into other parts of your life, including your job and your family and things like that. And so for you, for someone who's, I guess, considering HTMA or thinking about it, or, you know, is it going to be difficult? They obviously have a bunch of questions, right? And people wonder. And so what would your, I guess, what would you tell them with regards to the testing and moving forward for them to make the right decision or a decision?
I would just say, just do it. Just do it. Take the leap. Yeah. And as much as it's, you know, in the beginning, like, I definitely had my suspicions about it. Like, I'm very open to, you know, functional medicine and, you know, the different, so I consider myself maybe more open than the average person. But, and if you're going to go ahead and Google it, like, you're going to find a bunch of stuff that says, you know, there's a lot of stuff that says against it, like, don't do it. But, you know, you really can't, like, the results are, like, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
Quite honestly. Yeah. And, you know, like, I've been, like, before working with you, I'd worked with two other naturopaths, and, like, I spent thousands of dollars of my own money, even though I had benefits. Like, I spent thousands and thousands of dollars. And now looking back, like, I wish I had just done this, you know, at the beginning. Right. So that's kind of the thing that I would say is, if you're like, anyone that's listening, if you are thinking of, you really want to get serious and you really want to feel better, then, you know, I would say just do it. And, like, the other thing too is, I don't know if you follow Mark Hyman.
Oh yes. Yeah.
He talks about FLC, like the feel like crap. So, you know, and a lot of people might say, you know, like I was mentioning, like, you're just tired, or you're just this, like, you know, instinctively that, like, you'll know it when you're just not at your optimal state. Yeah. And so just listen to your own instincts as well. Yeah, I think that's probably pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. And I think that, you know, when we talk about just even being aware, or, you know, how we're practicing things, it's even sometimes just being aware of our actions too. Sometimes we're doing things and we don't even really realize, just because it's so common, right? So we're grabbing our large Starbucks on the way to work in the morning, right? If we work in an office, or maybe we're working from home, so we have a coffee, and then in the middle of the afternoon we grab another one, and maybe we don't even realize, you know, it's just so common that everybody does it, grabs a coffee on coffee break, and all of a sudden, you know, you're consuming 400 or 500 milligrams of caffeine every day. And that's really hard on the adrenal system, right? So switching over to something that is just not quite so caffeinated and limiting that caffeine, which is also dehydrating, right? that can, do a lot for the body with some simple changes just like that. So
yeah, I'm actually drinking mushroom coffee right now.
I love it. Yes, I love that one. That and or Dandy Blend. Those are my two favorites.
Yes, so I dandelion root tea. It's a really good alternative for coffee.
Love that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one thing that you said that I feel very similar about was just because, and as I mentioned earlier, I also, studying functional medicine, we had to do all the diagnostic tests anyways, right? Because we needed to know, how to do it, what to do, what the results were and everything else were when we started working with our clients. But, if I wasn't actually studying and just doing testing to try and fix my own health, I wished I had found this first as well. And that's one of the reasons that my soul practice starts with this. And then if we need to do other testing, we can. Because many people approach me with regards to testing, and usually they're asking for a different test. But when they get their HTMA back, when they've decided to do it, it gives them so much information and kind of verifies a lot, right? There's a lot in there that you actually get verification on. It's like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense, right? This actually makes sense to me. This resonates with how I'm feeling, and now it's telling me on paper. And that's a pretty powerful statement with regards to someone who's not feeling like themselves. Yeah,
absolutely.
Excellent. Awesome. Yeah. Well, that was great. And really, HTMA is just great. I just wanted to have a client on to share their experience, and obviously you've had some great results, and I'm super proud of what you've done and the changes you've made, because it's not easy, and you've definitely been very disciplined. And because of that, you've seen some amazing changes, and I'm excited to see what's going to come in the next, even few months, because I think it's going to be pretty amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Anything else?
If anyone has,
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say, like, if anyone, wants to get in touch with me and ask me questions personally, they can get in touch with me at www.matterofgrowth.com. So it's matter, MATTEROF, and then growth, GROWTH.com. And they can ask me any questions that they have. I'd be happy to chat with any of your potential patients.
That's excellent. Well, I appreciate that. And I will make sure to include that in the write-up. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you check out the description, and as well as on Spotify and any other podcast host that is your fave. It will be there at the end of the video. So yeah, so thank you so much, Caroline, for joining me and just sharing with your experience and just kind of how you're feeling. And I'm just, again, so happy that you've made such great progress, and that you've got that newfound focus. So keep doing great work.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everybody. If you're watching, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's a brand new podcast every 2 weeks. And if you're listening, we appreciate it. Check us out on all your favorite podcast hosts, and make sure you follow us for all our brand new episodes. Until next time. Thanks for listening to today's show. Head over to Pitel-Killah.com to gain access to some amazing free resources that will help you gain energy, erase debilitating symptoms, and be the best version of you. Remember to give this podcast a like and follow me on social media at Lisa Pitel-Killah. I'm here every 2 weeks with a brand new episode of the Human Optimization Podcast. Until next time.